Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's episode. Welcome to episode number 240. I remember starting this podcast with two big fears. Well, one A, that no one would listen, one B, that people would listen and hate me. And then number two was that I would run out of things to talk about. And here I am, 240 episodes later, not missing one single week. I've shown up here every single Tuesday and I don't know, it's just crazy. I kind of blowing my own mind here for a moment, but I thought, what a better way to celebrate than to do a Q&A. I know you guys love these. I'm actually behind schedule. I said I was going to post these once a month and life is just happening and other topics have come about and I'm just kind of going with the flow. So I'm doing these more often though. So I'm very excited and proud of myself for that. But I'm excited to dive in and do a Q&A episode. I'm going to get through a lot. I don't know. It depends on how deep, how much in depth I go on these questions with my answers. I dig it a lot. So I will save some of the questions for the next Q&A. I think I just got so many because it had been a while. So I appreciate you writing in and I promise I will do one sooner because I did get some thorough questions that I wanted to answer. But anyway, I'm going to stop yakking about that and we're going to dive in because I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about it. So first question, you mentioned you take a prebiotic and probiotic for bloat. Which one do you recommend? I personally take Deload by the company called Promix. It says on their website that it reduces bloating and cramping, it promotes healing of gut barrier, and it aids detoxification and immunity. So I just wanted to tell you what the website says. I love it. I've been taking the watermelon flavor every day for months. I don't know how long, at least 6 months, probably longer than that. I love it so much. I have actually, when I first purchased it, I didn't know that it was a prebiotic and probiotic. I just heard that it was really good for bloating and helping that inflammation. And I really was interested in that. So I started it based off of reviews. People told me about it. And then I looked into it and thought, oh, great. It's a prebiotic, probiotic. I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone here. So yeah, I really, really like it. I will have the things that I talk about in this episode linked for you in the show notes of this episode. So you can go check it out. I do have a code for this as well. This is currently the only item that I purchase from Promix. I do like their protein powder and I've tried a couple other products from them, but they've not been ones that I've stuck with. I really, really love Kion and I'm using all of my supplements right now from them, which I guess I can list really quickly while I'm on the topic. So I do take the Promix Bloat watermelon. I get the single-use packets. I take that every day with my Kion creatine, my Kion essential amino acids, and some pre-workout. I'm currently using Optimum Nutrition Amino Energy for my pre-workout. So I mix that first thing in the morning. I also do have the Kion omega-3s that I'm taking, and I do use Kion protein powder. That's all the supplements that I'm taking right now, and that seems like plenty. So that's what I take for a prebiotic and probiotic is the Promix Bloat, and I really, really love it. I think it actually works. I shouldn't say I think it actually works. I know it actually works for me. I hope it works for you too. I have a lot of clients that are using it as well, and they really like it. So highly recommend. Next question. What smart scale do you use? I use the Renpho and the Withings. So I have used the Renpho scale since 2020, I believe. I only know that because when I go to Amazon to send someone a link to purchase, it says purchased in, I think it says 2020. So I have had the same scale for 5 years and it's the cheapest, like $20 Renpho scale. I did purchase it for myself. I think maybe my mom purchased it for me, but we might have just purchased ours at the same time. I don't remember. I love it. I recently have switched to sometimes using the Withings brand scale. The app that I use for my own app, the Unfuck Your Fitness, the club app, I use a company called Trainerize that I go through to build my programming and all my client things on the app. So the app itself is through Trainerize. Trainerize syncs with the Withings scale. And people would come into the app and say, do I need to get a Withings scale because it syncs with your app? And I would say, no, actually the Renpho scale And I'm sure that I have many women on the app using different scales than the Renpho or the Withings, but the Withings syncs directly to it. So you can just take the Withings app and my app and they sync directly together. The Renpho scale connects to your Apple Health app, which also connects to my app. So it's just kind of sending information from the Renpho scale to your Apple Health app, and then that app will send the information to my app. So that's a little confusing, but I do tell people you can get the Renpho scale. It's cheap. I love it. It's on Amazon. I got the Withings scale because I wanted to see how easily it synced with my app. And also it was $100, and the Renpho scale, like I said, I think was 20 when I purchased it. It's probably a little more now. So a pretty big price difference. And I wanted to see if it was the same. So if I would step on the Renpho scale and then immediately step on the Withings scale, if they were very similar. So I knew if I could trust the Renpho scale. And it turns out that it is very, very, very similar, if not exact. So I don't get on them at the same time, like on the same day anymore, but I remember bringing it home, got it all set up. And for a couple of days, I'd step on the Renpho, step right on the Withings, and they were the same. And so that made me very happy to know that I could just recommend the Renpho scale, stand behind it. I love it. Smart scales are not 100% accurate. Okay. No health tracker. I don't think. Maybe there's some kind of scan that obviously they could do in some kind of medical setting that would scan your body perfectly down to the T. But the ones you're going to purchase on Amazon and stuff, they're not 100% accurate, but they will be accurate in the changes that you make from there. Okay. So I just want you to know, if you're going to like use a Renpho scale and then you're going to use maybe the scale at the doctor's office, then you're going to go get an in-body scan, they're not going to be the same. Just like tracking your steps on an Oura Ring and on your phone and on an Apple Health or an Apple Watch, they're not going to be the same either, but you can get an idea of where you're at, right? And if your fat percentage is going up on a scale, you know it's going up. If your muscle mass is going up, you know your muscle mass is going up. Like, I love to use it for things like that. So I personally use the Renpho and the Withings scale, and I love both of them. The Withings scale, the app is different. It gives you all the same metrics, but it gives you a little more information, some different information, but not anything. If you don't want to spend the extra money, don't. Next question. What app do you use regularly for food tracking and macros? I use MyFitnessPal. I wanted to answer these because they were kind of just about me. And I like that. I get a lot of questions like, what do you use? What do you use? So I wanted to be able to answer these. I use MyFitnessPal. I always have, and I probably always will. I don't like to try new things. I get messages all the time. Christy, will you promote our app, our macro app? No, I won't, because I don't use it. I don't want to use it. I don't want to learn how to use it. I know there's a bunch of AI things. I have tried. Now, I have downloaded the Lose It app. I have used Macros First, I think. I've had a couple clients that have used these as well, and I really like those apps as well. I've used the First Form app when I was partnered with that company. Actually, the Lose It app is set up really, really great and user-friendly. The First Form app, I really liked the tracking capabilities on that too, but not enough to pay separately for it. It's not. I'm looking at it like I've used MyFitnessPal for years and years. My information is already on there. My recipes are already on there. I know how to use the app. It's good. It's good enough, right? It's fine. So that's what I personally use, and I probably always will. Now, if you ever see me promoting anything or talking about an app, please know that it has my full attention because I don't want to switch if I don't have to. It's not that serious for me. I track my food. I weigh my food sometimes. I log it. I move on. The app really doesn't matter to me. I do like MyFitnessPal as well because it does also sync to my app. So on, again, my app, UFYF Fit Club app, you can track your food right on my app, which I do recommend a lot of people do if they haven't been tracking food already, because it's right inside there. So you can track your workouts, you can track your water, you can track your steps, you can track your food, everything inside one app, which I think is fantastic. The MyFitnessPal app does sync directly to my app. So a lot of my clients do use MyFitnessPal, but a lot of them also use other apps, and they just don't sync, but I'll set your macros for you inside of my app, and you can set them inside of whatever app you're using and just get close to them. But that's what I currently am using for a scale and for tracking food. And I've used both of them for years and years, and they're trusted by me. And also, I just don't want to switch. So I'm just being honest. All right, next question. What does your deloading week look like? So this was hard to answer because I don't feel like I lift like a quote unquote normal person. And I know that's kind of silly to say, but I feel for me like I've had autoimmune issues for years, and it has caused me to lift lighter, I feel like, than I want to, or could if I didn't have these issues, probably. I get to the point in my progressive overload where it really, really hurts my body. So I always hurt. I feel like autoimmune issues just sometimes they hurt worse than others, but I'm always hurting, like my neck, my shoulders, my upper back, the nerves and my skin. It kind of hurts all the time. And then when my muscles are sore on top of that, it can really, really hurt. Or like if I didn't sleep well enough, if I didn't eat something, if I did eat something that's irritating me and causing me to be more inflamed, if whatever it is, like the weather, the wind's blowing in a certain direction, and I feel like my body's just like, what the fuck are you doing? So I don't feel like I do progress enough and well, and I do deload and I do follow the general rules of fitness. But this is part of life where we all have different situations, right? Also, on top of my autoimmune issues that I pretty much have under control, I've had to do a lot of food detoxes and things like that. But now there's not any foods that I can't have other than like corn and broccoli and cauliflower. My body really doesn't like those things or any vegetable, really. But it's okay if I can space it out. I have control over it mostly, is what I'm trying to say. But from a workout standpoint, I can get to a certain place where I burn out, and also my body becomes really, really sore and just tightens up. So I have to be pretty good about my flexibility and my mobility helping me with that. And so I don't progressively overload every single week, every time I'm in the gym, every time I pick up a dumbbell. It's not something that's on my mind of like, oh, I have to increase this week. I have to increase this week. Where if you're doing that every single week, you want to deload every 4 weeks, really. But that was not the question. The question is, what does my deloading week look like? So I'm just being transparent about the fact that it doesn't look like what a standard deload week or program is going to look like online. And I kind of love that because it allows me to say, I can still look the way I want to look. I can still be badass, strong, healthy, and overload and deload. I can still do the things. I just have to be very conscious of my body, how I'm feeling, what it needs, what I'm capable of. And I love that because it allows me to say, no, I need a rest day, or no, I can't progressively overload like this. And it's fine. I still get results. You don't have to do everything perfectly, right? So kind of a walking billboard for that. I'm perfectly perfect over here. Kidding. So what I do is I deload around every 6 to 8 weeks. So I will try to progressively overload around every 2 weeks. And where if I'm thinking I'm feeling really strong today, all the stars have aligned for me and I feel like I can lift heavier, I will, but I don't follow a certain structure of I have to progress every 2 weeks or I have to progress every week or anything like that. I just try to lift heavier when I can. And when I'm feeling like my body needs a deload, I take a deload week. And what that usually looks like is doing what feels good for me. I lift lighter, I take more walks, or I add an added rest day. So if I'm typically working out 4 days a week, I will add another day of rest, and I will also just lift lighter. And like I said, go for more walks, do more stretching, do some mobility, and focus on a lot of those things. So deloading to me doesn't look like going down 10% of my 1 rep max and, all that. It doesn't. Could I do that? Yes. If I was on like certain medications and, being very, very meticulous about my sleep and my energy and my movement and my stretching. But honestly, I'm not in a phase of life, especially with my new blood pressure issues. And I feel like my heart is always racing and pounding and just, weird things going on with my body. Perimenopause. Who the fuck am I sometimes? Like, it's so weird. So I'm not in a phase of life to care and to be overly particular about those things. I'm not coasting by any means. I put in a ton of work, but I'm very good at listening to my body and knowing if the general rules that I like to follow are going to work that day or that week. And if they're not, I'll just do my best. So that's what deloading looks like for me. Going off that a little bit, the purpose of a deload week or deloading for 2 weeks, whatever you want to do, is to just lift lighter and to give your body a break because recovery is so important. So it really doesn't matter as long as you're lifting less volume, whatever that looks like, working less, resting your muscles, giving them a break. It doesn't have to be perfect. So let that be your main takeaway going off of what my deloading weeks look like. Next question. Love this one. Best moves, tips, etc. for continued glute growth. And then a couple other questions that I got about glutes as well. But one other one was phrased in this way. If you want to grow your glutes, do you concentrate only on lower body workouts? So I'm going to answer these together. Do you concentrate only on lower body workouts? No. So your glutes are a really large muscle group. They're the largest muscle group in your body. So they need to be worked, and they need to be worked with heavy weights, and they need to be overloaded, and they need to be, if you don't have access to heavy weights, then you need to be increasing the time under tension. Like, they are a large muscle group, so they need to be worked. Okay. But if you're wanting to grow your glutes, you don't need to only focus on lower body workouts. You still need to be growing other parts of your body. You just need to be working your glutes appropriately and as often as you should be for glute growth. So no, if you're going to grow your glutes, grow them, and also grow the rest of your body. Like, you don't need to shrink everything else or not focus on anything else. Just grow your glutes, girls. All right. The best moves, tips, and etc. For continued glute growth. So you want to think about glutes in, well, any muscle, but we're talking about glutes here, in the lengthened and shortened position. So when you are working your glutes, you are either working them in the lengthened position where your glutes are stretched out, or you're working them in the shortened position. So if you think about your glute position in a hip thrust, your glutes are squeezed, right? That is a shortened position. Think about your glutes, your little booty cheeks, squeezing up into a hip thrust. The weight is heaviest when you have it thrusted up and your legs are straight, right? And your glutes are squeezed. So that is the shortened position. If you think about a RDL, where you are bent over and your glutes are extended back, that, and your legs are, well, yeah, your legs are not straight in comparison to the rest of your body. I guess when you're in a hip thrust position, right? Like your chest, abs, core, glutes, they're all in line. That's what I meant. My legs are straight. They're literally not straight in a hip thrust, Christy. Anyways, okay, your body is in line. When you are doing an RDL, your body is not in line as far as that goes. Your glutes are extended backwards. So that would be the lengthened position. When you are doing an RDL, deadlift, something like that, where your glutes are rounded and you are extending them, that is the lengthened position, because that's the hardest part of that movement. So lengthened are squats. So your glutes are lengthened in positions like squats, split squats, and reverse lunges, for example. And your glutes are shortened when they are in hip thrusts, cable kickbacks, and glute bridges. So those that I just mentioned, squats, split squats, reverse lunges, hip thrust, cable kickbacks, and glute bridges, are going to be what I would consider your main movements for glute growth. You want to choose 2 lengthened and 2 shortened exercises. And that's really all you need for glute growth. So for continued glute growth, don't waste your time on really any other movements. They're not a complete waste of time, right? But you want to be focused on lifting heavy and really working the lengthened position and the shortened position. And you also want to think about all 3 glute muscles and work them separately. So you want to be doing abductions as well, which means your legs are going out, your glutes are going out in that position. So definitely focus on other body parts as well when you are growing your glutes, but that's all you really need to know. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. The glutes are one thing that a lot of people overcomplicate. It's like the best glute workout, see glute growth so quickly with these simple movements. No, it's the same shit. You need to be doing squats, split squats, and reverse lunges to lengthen, to work your glutes in a lengthened position. And you need to be doing hip thrusts, cable kickbacks, and glute bridges to work them in the shortened position. Yes, there are other movements that you can do, but if you stick with these and you work on progressive overload and you perfect your form and you perfect your mobility and you perfect the depth that you can execute these exercises into, you will continue to see glute growth. Okay. Next question. Is massage good for muscle recovery and building muscle? Are massage guns useful or no real help at all muscle-wise, and they're just good for relaxing? So I like this question because it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, is this doing any good, or what is it actually doing? So yes, massage is good for muscle recovery. It's not good for directly building muscle. So obviously a massage isn't going to help you build muscle in the sense that it's not like an exercise or something like that. But if it's aiding in your recovery, then it will help your muscle to repair itself faster and therefore can help to build muscle. So massage can obviously help with soreness. The massage gun is great to get into certain places, and it's really accessible for us to have. You don't have to go get a massage. And it may help you feel looser after training, which is nice, but it does not meaningfully increase your muscle growth or muscle mass on its own, right? Massage guns are similar in the sense of getting a massage. It's very relaxing and you can target certain areas, and it does help with short-term soreness, which will maybe allow you to lift heavier if you're not so sore, range of motion to really loosen up your hip flexors, things like that. So it does help with the soreness and it does help with range of motion and recovery, but it's not really a game changer for muscle growth, if that makes sense. So think about it as it's useful, definitely something you want to have in your toolbox, right? I think, rolling out on a foam roller, having the massage sticks that you can use on your leg. We do have all of those. I hate the foam roller. It hurts so bad. I shouldn't say I hate the foam roller, but I do. It is so hard. I would rather do a full workout than to hurt my body on a foam roller. And I think that's part of what I was saying earlier with my body always hurting and my skin always hurting and my nerves always hurting. It hurts me so much more probably than a normal person to lay on a foam roller. It is agonizing torture for me, but a massage feels great. Massage gun feels great. So yeah, I think they're really good to use for muscle recovery and feeling good and maybe aiding in that recovery, but it's not going to do anything for building muscle. Next question. Does intermittent fasting actually put your body in a fat burning mode that it claims to after fasting for 14 hours? That was the question and how it was written. I will be honest, I have not looked up the claims on intermittent fasting lately. I can do an entire episode on this where I gather what I know and I do research and I give you obviously my 2 cents and facts, but I don't think that it's that complicated of an issue when I can just kind of answer it here. So I originally saw this question and thought, I need to do an episode on intermittent fasting. And then I thought, I really don't, because yes, during a fast, your body does use stored fat as fuel because that's all it has, right? But the fat burning mode is overhyped. It's not going to, fasting for 14 hours isn't going to put your body in fat burning mode once you start eating, or 14 hours or whatever the claims are going to be. Your body is in fat burning mode after 14 hours. Or I'm sure there's other claims out there is what I'm trying to say. That definitely is just overhyped. It's a word that people are trying to get your attention with, oh, it's fat burning mode. What does that even mean and how, and prove it, and is that even true? So a lot of these words are just ways to get you to be suckered in and wonder and think, oh, I haven't tried fat burning mode yet. I don't think I've ever gotten my body in fat burning mode. It's just kind of crazy. So it makes it sound like it's just a special fat loss tactic, right? That oh, if I just fast for 14 hours, my body will be in fat burning mode. Yes. While you are fasting and you've used up all the energy that your body has stored up, your body will then use fat that you have stored for fuel. The second you eat something, your body is then going to use that food for fuel. So when you go longer without eating, your body does shift toward using more stored fat for fuel. That part, 100%. But that doesn't mean that you lose more body fat overall. And I think this is the part that people kind of overhype intermittent fasting for, of you're going to lose fat long term because you are intermittent fasting, because you crossed over that 14-hour line, right? So over time, fat loss still comes down to your overall calories. If you're not eating for 14 hours, you're going to be in a calorie deficit. So you're just restricting what you're eating. And then of course, if you don't have food in your body's going to use body fat. Yes. But again, as soon as you go back to eating, your body's not going to burn more fat after that or be in a fat burning mode. So that is not true. What it comes down to is exactly everything that I've been talking about in this podcast for the last 240 episodes, which is moving more, eating the right amount of food for your body, not necessarily less, just the right amount of food for your body. It doesn't really matter when you eat it. Your body doesn't need to be put into a fat burning mode for you to burn fat. You just need to be optimizing your movement and being in control of your calories and getting your metabolism to work more efficiently. Fasting is a good, useful tool if you need it, if you like how you feel on it. Some people do. But it's mostly that marketing language as far as the fat burning mode and the 14 hours and things like that. So that's my thoughts on intermittent fasting kind of in general. It's a good tool. It can be healthy for your body to clean out, to get rid of, the shit that's in there and just kind of give it a fresh start. But when people use it for fat loss, when people use intermittent fasting for weight loss, that's where I have the problem. I don't think that it was meant for that. I don't think it's the best way to go about that, which conveniently leads me into my next question, which I've been avoiding. But here we go. My thoughts on GLP-1s. Again, with this is really not what they were created for. I think that I think these have been overhyped as well. And not to say that they don't work for fat loss, or not to say that you won't lose weight intermittent fasting, or you won't lose weight on a GLP-1. Of course, if you don't eat, you will eventually lose weight. And of course, if you use a GLP-1, you will eat less. That's the whole point. And then you will lose weight. So I'm just kind of saying, like, the marketing here, the purpose of fasting. It's not that I hate intermittent fasting. It's that I hate that it's marketed towards fat loss when it should just be towards the benefits of fasting and the mental clarity and all of that kind of stuff. On to GLP-1s, same thing. My thoughts are very unorganized on GLP-1s. I have so many thoughts that I have tried to put them into an episode, and I just keep running myself around in circles because I'm just everywhere on it. I mean, depending on, there's so many different ways that you can approach the topic. And I don't have a direct, I think they're terrible, or I think they're great. I'm definitely in between, depending on the why and the who. So that's why I haven't created an episode on this yet. If you want me to, please let me know. I'm happy to. It'll just be really messy. I'm just warning you right now, which you should already know that about me by now, but I'm going to dive into it just a little bit here. So it's just complicated. And I feel like it's complicated for, I hope, what are obvious reasons. So one, just like I don't dislike intermittent fasting for the reasons that it's kind of created for, and I feel like should be used for, I don't dislike GLP-1s. I don't dislike the drug itself. I think it was obviously created for certain reasons. It was created for good, for people that need it. I do also think that for some people, obviously, what it was created for, and that was a very good thing. I also think that it can be used in a smart way for certain people, and it will do a lot of good. I think the potential side effects of GLP-1s could be better than being severely obese. And so I have talked to people that are severely obese. I have talked to people that know people who are severely obese. And I've had my own clients, that I've talked to and said, okay, it could be a good tool for you if all these other kind of things are in line. Because, being severely obese, being obese to a point where you feel like your joints hurt all the time, you can't move, it's hard to move, you don't want to, you're just feeling like so overwhelmed and so stuck. If you have someone to walk along with you while taking the medication, I think it can be really, really good to maybe lessen that food noise, to have you jumpstart your weight loss a little bit so that you can move better and, and create healthy habits. But it has to come with a time frame, and it has to come with, I believe, someone who will help you, walk along with that. I do also believe, on an opposite note, that it is being severely misused. And I think that's obvious. And I'm not saying that it's misused by everyone. Obviously, again, I think that it has a really good place, and there are people that need it. And I think it has a really bad place. And I think a lot of people who don't need it are using it. I don't have enough information of the different names, the different kinds, the different uses, the different amounts of all of that. That's another reason I don't like to speak about it, is because I don't feel like I'm educated enough in the specific GLP-1s to know, the amounts and all of that. Obviously, I'm not a licensed professional to be able to give those out. That's another problem I have with these medications, are now they're being distributed by doctors who should not be prescribing them to certain people, because said people they don't have a good relationship with food. They don't have a timeline. Maybe even financially, they shouldn't be spending their money on those things. Do we have a plan for after the GLP-1? What do we do after that? Like, they're just not being set up for success. They're just like, oh, you want one? Yep, you hit the qualifications. Here you go. And you're sent on your way. And I think that's very reckless. So even some doctors, I feel like, are giving them to the wrong people. And then there are also people just slinging these GLP-1 drugs all over Instagram as if they are just something to be thrown out like that. People are not certified. People are not licensed and should not be able to give these drugs to people. I thought Beachbody was bad in the sense that we have unlicensed professionals. We have unlicensed people. We have people that are not licensed and should not be giving other people health advice. I thought that was bad enough. And now we have this situation, which is just way worse. I blame the people that are selling these and saying, like, this is the medication I use and it's on sale. Use my code to get 10% off. I also blame the people that go try it. And I'm like, why are you buying a drug for your body from someone that you don't even know online, like an influencer. I think that is crazy. That's where I feel like it's just getting really messy for me. I feel like I don't have enough understanding of the different names and types. So I can't really speak on the specifics of that. I have listened to many podcast episodes where people that are licensed and are certified and are knowledgeable are talking about the different GLP-1s and their uses and how they can be very, very beneficial. And I don't disagree with that. I can't. I don't know enough to disagree with that. I don't feel like. What worries me though is years from now, what are the side effects going to be? What are we going to be dealing with on the other side of this? So maybe they're not potentially dangerous right now, and they are, because there are many people who have had severe side effects from GLP-1s. So they are dangerous to people now, some people now. But if they're not used correctly, and if they're not accompanied by a good structured nutrition plan and workout plan and an exit plan, then I feel like we're just set up for failure after getting off of the GLP-1, and years down the road, we don't know what these drugs are going to cause. So I fear we have a lot of people who are at a place where they need to lose like 20 pounds. And instead of just trying to work with your body and figure that out, we are now given this person is now given a GLP-1. Now they're under eating. They're also under muscled. They're undernourished. They will hit the weight that I guess that they want to hit. The doctor will take them off, and now they will become off of the GLP-1. Now this person will become hungry and they won't want to eat. They don't understand their food noise. Again, it didn't fix anything. So now this person has hit their goal weight. They're very proud. They spent a lot of money, and now we're hungry and we don't know how to navigate out of it. So we still have the emotional, connection to food. We haven't changed any habits, but we have put a chemical in our body. We have put a drug in our body. So what is the side effect going to be a couple years from now? Are we going to put that weight back on, and then quick weight loss and quick weight gain is not good. It's better for your body to lose the weight or gain weight gradually. So I just feel like I feel like it's a mess. I feel like it's a mess. It's messy in my head. It's messy to talk about it because of so many different reasons and so many thoughts that I have. But that's kind of a quick rundown of my thoughts on GLP-1s. That's my very, very quick, short Cliff Notes version of my thoughts on them, because I feel like I definitely have more thoughts, and I definitely, if given specific questions about it, specific people, I have clients who have come to me and asked for help, and they're, like I said, in a position to lose a couple 100 pounds, whatever. And I think, yes, they could be very beneficial for you. And I walk them through that. I have people that just want a consultation with me to ask me truthfully my thoughts on it. I have clients right now that are in Fit Club that are on GLP-1s, and they are in there to build muscle and work with me for me to set their calories at a safe place. We talk about fats and hormone health, and to walk them through it very safely. And I love that and appreciate that. And I don't think that, again, that's the hard part, is like these people that are doing it the right way-ish. Sometimes I'm like, you don't have any weight to lose, girl. Why are you on this? You have 5 pounds to lose and you're on a GLP-1 to lose 5 pounds. We could do it. Might take 6 weeks longer, but we could do it ourselves. So it just scared the chemical part of it in our bodies later on. I don't know enough about, like I said. Anyway, I digress. I do have clients right now that I love and adore inside my app that are on GLP-1s, and we are working really hard to fix their food noise, fix that emotional connection with food, so that when they get off of it, they're set and they have muscle mass and they're doing it the right way. I also have clients who have come off of a GLP-1 and they come to me saying, hey, I want to join Fit Club to have support in the community here while I am hungry again, while I'm navigating macros, while I'm trying to figure out how to maneuver life after a GLP-1. So I have worked with all types of women after maybe, considering getting on a GLP-1. And it's hard. That's why it's messy for me, because I can see it done right and think, okay, I'm very proud of you, but I'm also nervous about what this means later on in your life and what damage we've possibly done already. So that's my thoughts. That's all you asked for, was my thoughts on GLP-1. So I'm not going to wrap it up in a pretty little bow. There's my thoughts. They're messy. So that's all the time that we have today for Q&As, but I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned a little something or just enjoyed my TED Talk either way. And I will talk to you guys next week.